Welcome to another UCL Fantasy video. Ahead of Matchday 4, I'm going to be showing you the best wildcard team you can make, and there will be a few changes from the Matchday 3 video, but still I think quite a few of the components remain the same. But let's get straight into the video. So on screen you can see my normal team, and if you haven't already, check out my team selection video which I uploaded earlier, and I think will be very useful for you as well. I'm around 883 at the moment. Let's see if I can keep it going, and I just played my wildcard in Matchday 3 and the Limitless in Matchday 2. So from now on, obviously just have to rely on normal points per se. But let's get straight into the wildcard team for any of you who haven't activated it yet, and also it can give you a good indication of some of the transfers you can be looking to bring in even if you don't have a wildcard available. So starting with the goalkeepers, are very different I'd say from the Matchday 3 wildcard team, because I actually didn't even discuss these names before. So we've got Gribic here from Lille, and Lille are a team that haven't been too impressive this season, but then again they did make things very difficult for PSG only the other day. And this Gribic guy, this goalkeeper, he's been doing pretty decent to be honest. Obviously Matchday 2, pretty poor, but Matchdays 1 and 3, very impressive with the clean sheets, and very surprisingly Lille did keep the clean sheet there against Sevilla, and they could do the same thing once again, although if I'm being completely honest, in Matchday 4, facing Sevilla away, I'm not expecting a clean sheet there, and I think he could do well in either Matchdays 5 or 6, but then again, not necessarily guaranteed. Salzburg are a good attacking side, especially with Adeyemi, who I've been talking about a lot, especially in my team selection video. But if you want a cheap goalkeeper who can get some clean sheets and some save points, I think Gribic could be the guy, especially at 4.6 million. And then Costa, he's another one who, to be fair, not really too likely to get clean sheets, but he's done well so far in Matchdays 1 and 3. Then again, in Matchday 1, the only reason he actually got points is because he saved Salah's penalty. But then again, how many keepers saved the Egyptians' penalties? Not too many, but he could do pretty decent. But once again, if you're not really too confident in these kind of 4.5 million, 4.6 million options, I completely get it. And honestly, that's why I went with Mendy and Destonoglu as a cheap backup. And if you're not too sure about these options, I completely understand. Then just go for Mendy, Szczesny, or another premium goalkeeper like Handanovic perhaps, and then get a cheap goalkeeper as your backup. Because honestly, a lot of these 4.5 million options just aren't cutting it this year. And if you compare it to FPL, where you have Ramsdale, for example, we just don't really have that standout goalkeeper for a cheap price. But just two names to think about at least. And then we've got the defence. We've got Nicolas Sula, who I keep talking about him, but he's just really good at the moment, and he gets the ball recovery points. He can get 8 to 9 points pretty much in most match days, assuming they keep the clean sheets of course. But even if they don't, then I think Bayern Munich can still do decent, and some of their assets, and Sula can still pick up 3 to 5 points even without the clean sheet. So I think he's a decent option, and maybe he'll get a goal, who knows. He's not really known for his attacking threat, but then again, with his height, he can maybe cause some problems from set pieces. Hasn't done it this season in the Champions League, but let's wait and see. And then we've got Christensen. So instead of Azpilicueta, who I already raised my kind of concerns about him in the team selection video, Reece James has been playing as that right wing back, and then with the centre backs, Azpilicueta hasn't featured in the last few games. That could change, but Christensen has been steady in the Champions League, and he's getting the most ball recovery points of any Chelsea defender. If you want someone even more nailed perhaps, then go for Rudiger, and if Azpilicueta can maintain that starting berth, he's a decent choice too. Everyone always bangs on about Chilwell and Reece James, and I think in FPL, definitely, because of the attacking potential, the other defenders for Chelsea just don't offer that. But in UCL Fantasy, ball recovery points are so important, and Reece James, Marcos Alonso and Ben Chilwell, they just don't really get too many compared to the centre-backs. So I definitely recommend Chelsea centre-backs. Christensen, Rudiger, Azpilicueta, take your pick. And even when Azpilicueta plays as a right wing-back, he can still get ball recovery points from that position with an even more advanced position that he takes up in that role. So I'd just go for any one of them instead. Thiago Silva's not too bad, but I think I'd just go for one of those cheaper options, or if not, just someone who's more nailed than Thiago Silva. I think Christensen could be really good. He's done really well so far, and against Malmo, of course, he did score. And then we've got Mazzauri, and he could actually be a transfer in for my own team. So if you don't have your wild card, you can still actually eye him up, and I've been talking about him since Matchday 1 and 2. I think he's a really good option around that price. Maybe don't expect a clean sheet in match day 4, but I think Mazzari could do pretty decent, and Ajax, I would suspect, will top the group. And then we've got Joao Cancelo. Now, he is fairly expensive, and the problem with getting him in is that in match days 5 and 6, the fixtures are very tough, so you don't have to go for Cancelo. You can always go for someone cheaper, and there is, for example, De Ligt, who could do really well for nearly $1 million cheaper. So you don't have to go for Cancelo, but in match day 4 specifically, he could do really well, just like he did against the same opposition in match day 3. So just someone to consider. But if you want someone more long term for the rest of the group stages, maybe Cancelo isn't the one to go for, and you can just pick De Ligt or someone else. But I'd really want to target that Club Brugge fixture in match day 4. Hopefully Cancelo starts and he does well. And then looking at the final defender, we've got Diego Carlos, who actually featured in my original team before I got rid of him on my wildcard. But he's still a decent option, and he finally got some good points. He got 7, and in match days 1 and 2, no clean sheets, but he still got 4 because he's a ball recovery machine. Look how many ball recoveries he's made, and he can get even more than that, to be honest. And a bit surprising, in match day 3, where he actually got the clean sheet, not too many ball recoveries in that match, but in the other ones you can see he got plenty, and that's what he can offer you even if Sevilla don't keep the clean sheet. And that's pretty much the whole defence. Now let's look at the midfield, and we've got Phil Foden, and once again, just like with Cancelo, maybe not the best option heading into the future, but for match day 4 specifically, you want to target that. Foden was really impressive against Crystal Palace, against Brighton, Liverpool, and all these other teams, even Club Brugge in match day 3, so I think he can do really well. He's got the assist potential, and of course an amazing dribbler, and he can score some goals, and he's only going to get better and better, and I think Foden is one of the best options, if not the best, around 8 million. And now, arguably the best midfielder this season in the Champions League, it's Leroy Sané. Hasn't blanked, and in match days 2 and 3 he's been absolutely sensational. He's even outscored the great Robert Lewandowski, so Leroy Sané I think is a really good option, and you can just double up. I think that's your kind of differential in a way. He's only owned by 9% of the game, and it was even less so in weeks gone by. So I think if you just have Lewandowski and you captain him, you're not really making grounds when Bayern Munich score multiple goals and Lewandowski's getting you points, because Leroy Sané, these differentials, they can then get you into those really good ranks, and also just in general it's a really good differential to have, very explosive, and that's what you want. So at the moment Sané is coupling that explosiveness with the consistency, and that just spells much danger for the opposition. So I definitely recommend him, even over Salah at the moment, because of how cheap he is and how good Bayern are in the attack. And also we've got Salah, of course. Yeah, he's facing Atletico Madrid, but it doesn't really matter. Maybe a bit lucky with his haul, I'd say, in match day 3, but it doesn't matter. Salah can get points from penalties or whatever, and he's just such a good player at the moment. He's not really blanking in any game, is he? He's scored in 10 consecutive games, or in 9 before the Brighton one, and he's just getting assists. He's not blanking in such a long time. His only blank this season was against Burnley in FPL, which is absolutely insane. He's scored or assisted in every other match, so Salah's a no-brainer, and the fact he's only 10.6 million, started off at 10.5, in UCL Fantasy, he's just an absolute bargain. He could easily be priced at 12 or 13 million, to be honest. And then looking at the final midfielders, Jorginho, who I got rid of on my wildcard. If you have enough money, you can just get Danjuma, you can get Barrios if you don't have enough money. So you don't have to go for Jorginho, but what he has in his locker are penalties. He's got a really good record from the penalty spot. He can get ball recoveries, and he wasn't really doing too well in match days 1 and 2. That's why I got rid of him. But in match day 3, he showed the full package. He's not going to get 2 penalties every single game, but he did really well against Malmo. He can do it again. And against Juventus, he can do well. And same with Zenit. So yeah, Jorginho's a good option. But once again, you don't have to go for him. And if you want someone who's probably just going to be more reliable from an offensive point of view, Danjuma is the one to go for. And that's the swap I made on my wildcard. And then we've got Alvarez, just a cheap one. But if you have enough money and you want to find a way to upgrade him, I would definitely recommend Barrios, who tends to just get 5 points or more. Alvarez, yeah, he has gotten 5 points in match day 2, but he tends to get 3 or 4. He's a bit of a yellow card magnet, so something to bear in mind. He's already got 2 this season, but Alvarez is still a good option, and he's really cheap, so you can't really complain too much. And then finally, we're looking at the attackers, and to be honest, I think this is the best free you can go for. Now, Benzema is arguably a better option in Matchday 4 than Sebastian Haller, but Haller is significantly cheaper, and in Matchdays 5 and 6 he could do really well. He's already scored against these opposition. He's the top scorer in the Champions League this season so far, which is absolutely insane, and I think he can continue this vein of form, and he's just looking so good at the moment, and still a little bit of a differential. He did really well for me in my Limitless team. Obviously in Matchday 1, what a performance for anyone who had them back then, fair play. And in Matchday 3 still did really well, a double-digit return against Dortmund, so he can definitely do it again at Signal Iduna Park. So no doubts about that. I think Haller's still a really good option. And we've got Adeyemi, still the best around his price, but I can obviously understand some people maybe leaning towards the pie now that Koeman's gone, or maybe going for Vinicius Jr., who has been in the form of his life, not called up to Brazil, which is actually a good thing for UCL Fantasy and for anyone. Well, I don't even know if there's a La Liga fantasy game, but yeah, I think Vinicius Jr. Will actually be benefited from having a little rest during the international break, and he could be someone to think about as well. But Adeyemi is my preference, and yeah, no one around 7 million really up front is going to offer as much value as Adeyemi. Maybe Dzeko or someone like that, but Adeyemi for me is the one to go for. And then finally, Robert Lewandowski. I've talked about him in my team selection video, in previous wildcard teams and all of that, and I'm not going to talk about him too much. He's just the best option, and no matter what chip I'm playing, no matter what I'm going to do this week, I just know Lewandowski is one of the most consistent players you can go for, especially in the Champions League, where in the last 2 seasons he's been the top scorer, same with Haaland. So just a set and forget player, and he can do really well. The only concern, once again, that I've talked about in previous videos is that he could be benched if Bayern wrap up the group very early, but otherwise just a set and forget and nothing to worry about. So consistent and so explosive on his day. So that's it. What do you think of the best wildcard team? Would you change anything? Once again, I can completely understand that. Maybe the goalkeepers, just go for Mendy and Destanoglu perhaps. And also, you can just change a few components like Jorginho. You don't have to have him. And you can go for Danjuma or someone else that might, catch your eye. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. So thank you so much for helping me reach 7,000 subscribers. We're aiming for 10,000. So any subscription, any like, any comment will be massively appreciated. And thank you very much once again. Good luck in Matchday 4. Good luck with your wildcards, your Limitless, or whatever else you're playing. And I'll see you next time.